particularly the students who have all come over here. This time in the year is normally a very demanding time. You have so many things to attend to, close, let's say, an academic year, and so on. So, at this time, for you all to have come here, I think motivates me and also gives me a chance to be able to convey a lot of things. I think, first of all, let me thank the candidate, Sri Bharat, who, despite the campaign going on, has chosen to be here. Must be wondering how to make up for this time, but I wish him all the very best. And I also recognize in the audience former Minister K.S. Rao ji, who, despite his recovering from his ailment, has chosen to be here. Thank you very much for coming here. An experienced former minister, so makes the audience a lot more with heft. So to start speaking to an audience like this, particularly in a campus which has devoted a lot of time and resource for quality education in India, it's always a pleasure to come to this campus and see it grow from one aspect to another, covering almost every area in which there are youth seeking greater interaction, classroom-based learning, and so on. So, and I also thank Ms. Bandari for having said what exactly is this Viksit Bharat ambassador engagement that we do. I think she's put it very simply. She's put it also very plainly before you as to it's not going to consume too much time. It's not a compulsion. It is not even everyday business, but it is got to be put in a context. And I'll put the context first before you all. She's done it already, but I want to underline. See, in the last, let us say, even from 1991, which marked a milestone in India's economic history, till before that, India was all cloistered, closed, kept inside like a cocoon. And India's own efforts to make our economy look better, make people's lives better, were all happening, but really not happening. You would think that I'm playing with words, not at all. In that, our abilities, the endowments with which we could contribute to the economy, or to our families, or to improve our skills, or to learn more, were all stifled because of the way in which we ordered our economy. You know, you planned from center, and then from there, the same system would go to all parts of the country. As they say, one size fits all solutions used to be given. Many of them couldn't even get grounded. There was no effective monitoring. So a comprehensive approach at a time when our democratic institutions were getting strengthened and when our youth were seeing if there's greater opportunity to improve their skills did not happen. So it was a kind of economic model in which we thought if you planned at the center and let people do many things in the ground, gradually it will change. But gradual change is not something India can afford. And it is under duress and compulsion that in 1991, we decided to open our Indian economy. Now, as a result of which, newer opportunities seem to arrive, newer facilities seem to happen, and more resources from abroad, both soft resources and material resources seem to come, and that has triggered our own abilities to change and grow. But that also underwent a bit of a, obstacle. It wasn't opened completely, not completely, at least 75%, no, not really. So that enthusiasm petered out. Now, when enthusiasm petered out and you got into a rigmarole of going back with your old memories of controlling the economy, licensing the economy, and making sure that people are continuously monitored, the trust element which a government requires on its citizens to believe that its citizens are capable of taking their own decisions for their family's welfare was all stifled back again. So, in spite of 91, many things which could have happened at a great pace did not happen, and a certain sense of despair set in because we were very enthusiastic. But after that, it gave us a feeling that that opening also has not really helped India. But it was not till 2014, and I definitely say this with a certain considered discretion. It's not saying world didn't exist before 2014. World existed. But what is the kind of emphasis that you needed to give for pulling up this country? A country with so much of diversity, a country with so much of talent, but yet channel are not so well channeled. So it is purposely that I peg it at 2014. And also when I peg it at 2014, I would want to remind you that prior to 2014, 10 years, completely lost decade. Because of bad policies, because of looking the other way when massive corruption was happening, economy has literally gone down from where it was in 2004. Now, I'm in politics, so I will start with a few observations which are riveted in politics. Only a few days ago, or probably even day before yesterday, which got published in the newspapers of yesterday, Times of India, for instance, where a former finance minister has said, and before I go into that, I'm bringing this in here because we are talking about Viksit Bharat, our Prime Minister having given us a target that by 2047 we can reach the destination of a developed India. And it is in that context that I'm talking to you. And when I talk in that context, it means we have all of us got to put in so much effort to make sure that the economy goes through a chartered path and reach the destination of a developed economy. In the process, your GDP has to grow, it has to widen, we have to bring in inclusive growth so that the growth benefits reach everybody. And the growth in the GDP is the point where I'm referring to the comments made by former finance minister. Growth in GDP does not happen automatically. You require a lot of effort at the macro level, at the micro level, and literally in the ground. Unless there is a cohesive policy, unless there is a visionary leadership, unless there's a firm grip on administration so that no huge frauds happen, the image of the country is another important criteria, so that the ranking with which your GDP is associated, you're in 10th rank, you're in 14th rank, from the top 10, top 50, where are you? Are you the top 10th rank in GDP? Are you the 15th rank in GDP? All these matter along with per capita income calculations. I know many of you all are in medical sciences. Some of you all are doing paramedical courses. Details of this economy, measurements, I'm not getting into the technicalities. But you understand that unless any family's income is substantial, it cannot meet the needs of everybody in the members of the family. Similarly, unless the GDP, the gross domestic product of the country, is widened or grown, you're not going to be able to meet the demands of the economy. What are the demands of the economy? You need people to invest money. You need, with the investment, a lot of happening, production happening. You need services to grow. You need more education institutions like this. You need people to have that kind of monies from the bank for buying a house, buying a car, or doing a business. Unless we do all this, the economy is not to grow. So it's like a nicely linked, one ring into the other. So if it grows, it has better impact on the economy. If economy has better impact, GDP in return grows. So it is like a cycle. You have to have both going. Nothing grows automatically. It is effort which makes it grow. What did we hear the former finance minister say? When Prime Minister says by 2047 India should become developed, he also insists on saying that in his third term, India will become the third largest economy. Because in 2014, when he came to be the Prime Minister, blessed by the people's votes, India was in the 10th rank. India was in the 10th largest economy position. From the 10th rank, today we have reached the 5th rank, meaning in 10 years we've reached the 5th rank. And therefore, from the 10th to the 5th in a matter of 10 years, Prime Minister today says, from the 5th in the next few years, we will reach the 3rd. Former Finance Minister comments saying, I'll use the same words that he used. He says that the Prime Minister is turning an arithmetic inevitability into a guarantee. Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi did say that from where we are 5th ranking, we will reach the 3rd ranking economy in my 3rd term. That's Modi's guarantee. He said that. So the finance minister, former finance minister, says, oh no. Prime Minister is only turning an arithmetic inevitability into a guarantee. India will become a 3rd largest economy no matter who becomes the Prime Minister. That's what the former finance minister says. And he also says, given the population that we have, there is no magic involved, you will become 3rd largest. And therefore says, it's not what the GDP is, you'll have to look at what the per capita income is. I just want to clearly put before you that the former finance minister is trying to create an impression which is completely untrue. It's not a mathematic inevitability. You need effort. You need a visionary leader. You need to stop corruption. You need to make sure that skills are available for our students. You need to make sure that administration functions in delivering the welfare schemes for the common people. You need to make sure that the poor get their due. You also need to make sure that businesses have an environment in which they can grow. And businesses are not always big businesses, MSMEs, for whom Prime Minister Modi's government has done a lot. I'll just call out as to why what he said is completely misleading. In 2004, India was in the 12th place when Sri Vajpayee, the Prime Minister's term ended and the UPA government was formed. In 2007, where did it go from the 12th place? It went to 14th place. And in 2011, it came up to 9th place. In 2012, back again it slid, went to 10th place. In 13th, it slid further, went to 11th place. And by 14th, it had to come to the 10th place again. Sum and substance, in 10 years, pushes and pulls, roller coaster ride, it improved by 2 ranks. From the 12th place that we were in 2004, it reached 10th rank in 2014 in 10 years. And these are World Bank figures. What he's quoting and what I'm quoting are all the same World Bank figures. So, no magic is involved, is what he said. Then why was the roller coaster ride? No magic is involved, and given our population will anyway grow, inevitability, mathematic, arithmetic, inevitability says. Then why did we dip and rise and dip and rise? Clearly shows, and mind you, in the 10 years, except for the global financial crisis which happened in 2008, 8-9, which was not even across the globe, which was not like the pandemic, whereas what happened in 2020, and despite that today, from the 10th rank, India has come to the 5th rank, and a visionary prime minister who will make sure that corruption doesn't eat into the goodwill and into the earnings of the common people. Because when big ticket corruption happens, it is your money, my money, and others' monies which are going into some black hole, nobody knows where. He stopped all that and ensured that despite COVID, we were able to reach the 5th place. And from 5th place, therefore, there is a guarantee being given by Prime Minister Modi that with good administration, clean administration, he'll ensure that India will reach the 3rd rank. So it is not a arithmetic inevitability. Even then, you had those 10 dark years when we couldn't grow. We went up and down and just notched 2 points higher than where after Vajpayee left. So I want to start it in that and tell you that the kind of things that we've done for the youth, and particularly because we have students from medical sciences here, I want to tell you, after having removed all the ill will, the red tapeism which had set in, and changing India's image abroad, making sure that India is looked up as a positively growing economy. The few things, I'll very quickly point out the 7 things which may be important for all of you. Your Member of Parliament candidate spoke about it. He said medical equipment park, and in which you can go do a lot of things. Government's policy is in favor of that. Similar such things I want to draw your attention to. In the interim budget of 24-25, we've created an Anusandhan corpus for 1 lakh crores of rupees. It will support and create new avenues for India's tech-savvy youth and make India as a global hub for innovation. 1 lakh crore. It will provide long-term financing and support for research and innovation in sunrise domains. The second I want to draw your attention to, in the interim budget of 24-25, we also announced new scheme will be launched for strengthening deep technologies for defense purposes. And that will speed up Atmanirbhar Bharat. You know, since that announcement of 2020 was made, Atmanirbhar Bharat, India's defense exports have grown. And today we earn 20,000 crores. Probably it has gone to 22,000 crores by the end of March 2024. By exporting defense equipments. Until recently, we were importing majority of our defense equipment. Today we are able to export. We are also setting up, and it was approved by the cabinet, India Artificial Intelligence Mission, with a budget outlay of 10,300 crores, and that budget will be used for building computing infrastructure, developing indigenous AI capabilities, attracting AI talent, and for financing AI startups. In that, it is not an exclusive domain of any one field. Medical students, paramedics, and nursing students can all put their content into artificial intelligence-based researches, so that for medical science, how effectively we can use AI will be one of the things in which this mission will help us. Similarly, National Green Hydrogen Mission was launched in January 2023. 20,000 crores have been given for it, and it will make India a global hub for the production, usage, and export of green hydrogen and its derivatives. We will be completely, hopefully, energy independent by 2047. By that I mean, hopefully, we don't even need to import crude oil, but we will have enough resources within the country, even of crude, from our offshore and onshore. And also the emphasis that we are giving for newer energy resources, which are green and sustainable. India's semiconductor mission, you heard private investments, with which in 3 locations in India, 2 in Gujarat, Dholera and Sanand, and 1 in Assam, building this entire ladder that is semiconductor, different levels of semiconductor manufacturing. And that will make us a global hub for electronics manufacturing and design. Even there, the use of semiconductors is something on which we need to apply our mind. It is going to be across the board. It's going to affect us in our homes and in our workplace as much as in the science labs. Opening up of the space sector to private investment and establishment of in-space, sharing ISRO facilities have all improved the climate for space and space-related activities. India is going to provide enormous opportunities for Indian students, inclusive of medical sciences and related paramedical sciences, about those sciences being applicable in extraterrestrial spaces or in different stratosphere and layers of the atmosphere, beyond the atmosphere as well. Rapid rollout of India's 5G network, which has been the fastest in the world, and very importantly, that is the one which has been completely indigenized. We are not importing anything for making our 5Gs work. Now, just to throw one more bit of fact before you, we've had in the last years highest levels of patents being granted. Over 1 lakh patents are granted just in 23-24. Record-breaking copyright registrations, 36,378 only in 23-24 copyrights. 3-fold increase in geographical indications, GI registrations over the last year. Highest ever design registrations, 27,819 in 23-24. And as a result of these, India's scientific and the STEM emphasis that this government has given, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the emphasis that we have given has actually brought in a great deal of strength for those sectors. We have the highest ever services export that we are doing in 23-24 that amounted to 340 billion US dollars. So that is why I heard about the UPI. Ms. Bandari asked you all to raise your hands about how many of you all are using UPI. I'll just tell you what the outcome of every one of you using it is. 131 billion transactions by volume from India in 23-24. 131 billion, not million, billion, leading to 200 lakh crores of rupees by value transacted through our DPI. So it is important, as I purposely quoted elaborately the comments made by former finance minister. Very same finance minister, former minister, who spoke, why are you placing so much emphasis on digital transaction? Do you think we'll have power? Do you think we'll have internet in the villages? Do you think a poor village woman is going to use the UPI? Yes, today poor village women are using UPI. There is a QR code I saw on my way to Geetham, even in front of one of those people who's selling nungu, as we say in Tamil, toddy fruit. What do you call it? Thati. the person who's just chopped the tati and kept it down like coconut is going to scoop it out and give it to you had a QR code. And even more, Andhra has this culture and you will all recognize. Gandireddulu antara? సంక్రాంతి టైంలో ఒక్కొక్క ఊరికి డొప్పు అది పెట్టుకొని ఎద్దుని తీసుకొని వస్తారు. దెన్ యూ గివ్ ఆల్ ద ఓల్డ్ క్లోత్స్ టు హిమ్, దెన్ యూ గివ్ సమ్ రైస్ టు హిమ్ అండ్ ఆల్సో గివ్ సమ్ క్యాష్. టుడే ద గంది ఎద్దు హ్యాస్ అ QR code here. So India's adapting digital technology is well acclaimed. My last appeal to you all is you may have very informed people saying, no, India can't. You may have very experienced ministers saying, no, India can't. It'll take 2043 or 2038, some kind of number that years which are required for us to reach third rank. And also to say, but anyway, it is a arithmetic inevitability. They want to say this, they want to say that. They also want to say, no, we can't, but they are seeing it in their own lifetime that ordinary citizens of India are doing this kind of 130 billion transactions. These are not just Adanis and Ambanis, they are ordinary Nungu sellers, toddy sellers, or even the coconut sellers who are using digital technology. So when I invite you to be Viksit Bharat's ambassadors, by sparing a few minutes, I'm asking you to speak about the positive narrative about India. These positive narratives are the contribution of the common people of India. These coconut sellers, vegetable sellers, flower sellers in the street who are using QR code are like you and me, or even probably in many sense, and I feel sorry to say this, in many sense worse off than many of us here. But still, they are very quickly wanting to improve their lives. They want to use QR, they want to adapt to digital so that their lives can become better, their businesses grow better, they earn better, they take care of their families better. We need all these good stories to be spoken about. And this is not speaking about a government or not speaking about another government. It's speaking about the achievements of the common people of India. So when we need Viksit Bharat ambassadors, we need only because we need to counter naysayers. In Andhra Pradesh, people are so familiar with N.T. Ramarauji's films. You must have seen all the Mahabharata stories. I don't need to recall, but it is important to recall that we don't become Shalyas. Who was Shalya? He's Nakula and Sahadeva's mama, mother's brother. He comes to help them in the war. But on the way, the cunning Shakuni and the Kauravas feed him and his own armies which have come to fight on behalf of the Pandavas. And because there is this dharma, a principle that if you've eaten somebody's food, you don't go against them. They luckily serve them food and take a promise saying you'll fight on our behalf. So in spite of being the mama of Nakula and Sahadeva, Shalya had to fight on the side of the Kauravas. And what way did he serve dharma and so that truth prevails? He was attached, he was very good charioteer. He was attached to Karna, who was a great warrior comparable with Arjuna. And Arjuna had his Rathasarathi, Sri Krishna himself. So by attaching this man who was very good in Ratha to Karna, people thought he is giving them a better charioteer. But having realized that he went the wrong side because of some little mischief, he does one big favor to the cause of the Pandavas. And what is that favor he does? he constantly underplays to Karna his abilities. He goes on saying, "You're useless, you won't win the war. You're useless, you can't do this. You really can't match up." And continuously mentally drains him down, psychologically puts him down, that he can never achieve. For a warrior of Karna, also, this constant whispering in his ears, "You can't, you can't, you can't, you can't," works up. In today's India, you have several such shalyas. Every one of us is a Karna. We want to do something. But no. You're all together in a country which is being led by Prime Minister Modi. We hate them. So even you cannot prosper. And therefore we'll keep telling you, you can't. What UPI? You won't have current, you won't have internet connection, you can't will a village woman buy vegetables using QR code. You are still showing, hey, we can. No, India can't become developed by 2047. What third largest? Arithmetic inevitability, but during my time it went up and down, up and down, up and down. And in 10 years I could manage bringing it up by about 2 ranks only. In 10 years Modi showed 5 ranks it can jump. And within 2 more years probably it will go to another 3rd rank. So it is a constant fight against forces which are undermining us, the people of India. It is that today I stand keeping it as background and appeal to you. Speak of the good achievements of the people of India for the sake of the people of India. And that is where, please join in becoming Viksit Bharat's ambassadors. There are a good lot of portals. One in the name of Namo app, in which a lot of good stories about successes in India. I'll finish with this last thing. The very way in which Prime Minister gives Padma awards, Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan. Unknown achievers of this country are brought up to say he's done this. He's an unknown man, but he did this great service. He gets a Padma award. That unknown contribution has to be spoken about, otherwise none of our confidence is going to get strengthened. We have confidence, we need it to be strengthened. So join in us Viksit Bharat ambassadors, cut down on these forces who constantly undermine us. We need to reach 2047, a developed India, for your sake, for our children's sake, for a future bright India's sake. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for highlighting the milestones that we have achieved and also making each of us feel very empowered and realize that as Viksit Bharat ambassadors, we are actually spreading the stories of our positive contribution to the nation. And it's a true testament to the very famous saying that great nations are not built by governments, but actually are built by people. So with that, we would like to open the house for a few questions, maybe a few questions. So if the students would like to ask a question, if you could please raise your hand and the mic will be passed around.
There's one in the back there, Kritika. Can someone get the mic to him?
If I may request students, please keep your questions brief and no cross-questioning.
Good morning. Good morning, ma'am. My name is Harish. I'm a third-year law student. Ma'am, my question is, in the coming years, which sectors are expected to have the high growth and offer the greatest potential for our country?
See, there are 2 or 3 ways in which I'll answer your question. We have identified about 13 sunrise sectors which have great potential and in which India is already showing leadership positions compared to many countries in the world. And those areas have policy support, they also have some fiscal support, and globally, for technology and also the skilled manpower to service that sector are all in India. So I would think those 13 sectors, which include renewable energy, advanced chemistry, also the green hydrogen kind of things that I mentioned, AI, are all newer areas in which India's got the leadership potential and therefore will be those areas in which I see fast growth. Similarly, technology driven other sectors, we already have nearly 62% contribution coming for our GDP. Those areas will still grow. Startups in fintech, startups in agro processing, startups also looking at SaaS, software as a service, are all coming up. That is why you have the success in global capability centers happening in India.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question, please.
A very good morning,
ma'am. Ma'am, I am Abhishek Kumar Singh. Ma'am, my question is, अब की बार 400 पार आएगा तो क्या रिजर्वेशन बेस्ड ऑन कास्ट को छोड़ के रिजर्वेशन बेस्ड ऑन इकोनॉमिक स्टेटस को लाएंगे बीजेपी? इफ 400 पार आया तो?
No, please repeat your question.
मैम, इफ अब की बार 400 पार बीजेपी का आया तो क्या रिजर्वेशन बेस्ड ऑन कास्ट को छोड़ के रिजर्वेशन बेस्ड ऑन इकोनॉमिक स्टेटस को लाएंगे?
See, I like the excitement among all of you all on this. Do you want one or two more people to say, yes, I'm asking that question? How many of you all are joining him in asking? Like in Parliament, they say, I associate with it. Like that, how many of you all are associating with it? See, first thing, 370 for BJP and 400 for NDA was the call given. Let's be clear on that. 370 for BJP and 400 for NDA, which means all alliance partners. There was just no, together with that, nothing else was added saying we want 370 for BJP or 400 for NDA because this, because that. It was purely for having a stable government, a clear, stable policy-making establishment, where there is no need for, uncertainties. Oh, but in Rajya Sabha they don't have numbers, but in Lok Sabha they are in less numbers, so they can't do anything effectively. No. So the numbers were for India to have a strong, good government, a stable government. We have a destination to reach, 2047. And in between, we have again targets to reach, third largest economy and so on. So it is with that larger intent that these kind of, call for action, come please vote. We need a stable government. We need good numbers in the house. We need policy making at a stable kind of a level. That is why these numbers. But your question builds in a certain assumption. I'm sorry to expand so much on this. Your assumption is economically weaker, socially weaker. Are we on this line? Are we on this line? No. Everybody who's been given constitutional guarantees will have them. We're not talking anything about it. But equally, it was Prime Minister Modi who understood the requirement for those economically weaker sections which had to be given some kind of a support, and that's why you had the 10% brought in. So let us understand and not get carried away by people who are doing wrong prachar. Oh, no, this is for the sake of this one. That's for the sake of that. India needs stability and growth, inclusive growth. You need a good government which is going to give you administration, which is corruption-free, and which looks at developing all the people.
Thank you. Ma'am, next question.
A very good morning, ma'am. My name is Rushan. I am a fourth-year law student.
Wow, can't see you. All right, there, on the left hand.
A very good morning, ma'am. My name is Rushan. I am a fourth-year law student, and my question is, we see that there is a disparity between the opportunities that the rural students have and the students that are there in city. So how will this initiative Viksit Bharat help that all of us learn the important skills no matter where they reside in?
See, it's a very pertinent question you're asking. Not just this Viksit Bharat, but also there are enough number of portals which the government has instituted. First of all, e-Shram portal is something which I want you to draw your attention to. Not so much directly for your question. That e-Shram portal, where unskilled, semi-skilled workers registered themselves, to the surprise of everybody, 200 skills were recorded. You tend to think that these many number of skills are there on which we can train people. But people coming onto the e-Shram portal identified many more. So there is ever so many growing area into which people are training themselves and getting in. There are enough portals, I would like to tell you, through which you can identify areas in which, being in the state where you are, identify areas in which you can have your trainings done. High-end training, good skilling, along with language training, not just for English, but also for other countries into which you may want to go and serve or want to do business with. It is possible.
In fact, ma'am, if I may add, Mera Yuva Bharat is one of the portals that has been started to give access to experiential learning opportunities to all members of the youth. Can we have the next question, please? The mic.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Dipti. I'm third year BSc Nursing. Like, we love our history and tradition. Like, how will the Viksit Bharat initiative make sure we remember our past while also moving forward with modern ideas?
How do we do it?
Yeah.
That is a very important question if you ask me. I saw one little clip of an interview of Gukesh. You know who Gukesh is? The recent candidate champion in chess, who reached the global standard. There was please sit down. There was a question asked to him, saying, what gives you that courage? Because chess requires a lot of mental courage. The game should be understood and you should take risks at the last critical moments as well. You need a lot more strength, moral strength. The question was asked of him, where do you get this courage from? Because every stage you are being challenged, you can't consult, you can't do anything. How do you keep your mental energy to face that situation? He said, look, my mother continuously from my childhood kept saying in my ears, particularly during bedtime, that you will achieve your destination, you'll remarkably reach your aspirations. But she also kept reading stories from Mahabharata and Ramayana. Very important, your question that how do we remain connected with our heritage and culture together with achieving newer and newer goals. There's always that link. Not just to live that life, but to draw on those principles which are very critical, to have that courage, to have that energy, to have the mental strength, and not to get diluted or not to get de-energized. Those are the kind of ways in which you can always keep in touch. You can speak to some elders in the family, some experienced people, need not necessarily from your own area. But these are ways in which you build your inner strength.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for patiently taking the questions of the students. If I may now invite the University MC to take the program further.
Thank you, Kritika.